What kind of person storms into a store, demands a refund for a ruined item, and expects everyone to bow to their whims? Karen Mitchell did exactly that on a humid August afternoon, her heavy footsteps echoing through the cramped aisles of Harper's outdoor gear. The bell above the door jangled violently as she shoved it open, her face a mask of indignation. In her hand, she clutched a navy baseball cap, its brim frayed and stained, as if it had been dragged through a mud pit. The store, a cozy haven for hikers and campers, smelled of canvas and pine, but Karen's presence soured the air. She marched straight to the counter, where Mia, a 22-year-old cashier with a knack for staying calm, stood sorting receipts. "This cap is garbage," Karen bellowed, slamming it onto the counter. "I paid $30 for this, and it's falling apart. I want my money back now." Mia blinked, her heart racing but her voice steady. "Ma'am, let me take a look. Can you tell me what happened?" Karen's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a sneer. "What happened?" "It's cheap. That's what. I wore it once, and it's ruined. Your store sells trash, and I'm not leaving without a refund." Mia picked up the cap, her fingers brushing against the rough, stained fabric. The damage was odd uneven tears, a strange chemical smell, and what looked like burn marks. Harper's sold quality gear, and this cap was one of their best sellers, designed for rugged use. Something didn't add up. "Ma'am, this looks like it's been through more than normal wear. Our return policy covers defects, but not damage from misuse." Karen's face reddened, her voice rising to a screech. "Are you calling me a liar? I know my rights. I'll have your job for this." Customers nearby turned, their curiosity piqued, but Mia held her ground. She'd dealt with difficult customers before, but Karen was a storm of entitlement, her words dripping with venom. Mia glanced at the cap again, noticing a faint logo on the inner band, barely visible under the grime. It was a clue, one that could unravel Karen's story. Behind the counter, Jake, the assistant manager, overheard the commotion and stepped forward. A lanky man in his 30s with a calm demeanor. He'd seen his share of Karens, but since this was more than a tantrum. "Let's all take a breath," he said, his voice low but firm. "We'll figure this out." Karen wheeled on him, her finger jabbing the air. "Figure it out. I'm not here to play games. This store ripped me off, and I want my money." Jake exchanged a look with Mia, who nodded slightly. They'd dealt with returns before, but the cap's condition screamed foul play. Jake took the cap and examined it closely, his brow furrowing. "This damage isn't typical. Did you wash it with anything unusual? Or maybe it got caught in something?" Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. "Don't try to pin this on me. It's your faulty product." Mia's mind raced. She remembered a training session about spotting fraudulent returns customers who damaged items intentionally to scam refunds. The chemical smell, the burn marks, the deliberate tearsit all pointed to sabotage. But accusing Karen outright could escalate things further. Instead, Mia reached for the store's return log, a binder filled with transaction records. "Ma'am, do you have your receipt? It'll help us process this faster." Karen rolled her eyes, fishing a crumpled receipt from her purse and tossing it onto the counter. "There. Now do your job." Mia smoothed the paper, scanning the details, The purchase date was 2 months ago, well past the 30-day return window. But that wasn't the only red flag. The receipt listed a green cap, not a navy one. Mia's pulse quickened. This wasn't just a damaged item, it was the wrong item entirely. Jake leaned over, catching the discrepancy. Ma'am, this receipt is for a green cap, but you brought us a navy one. Can you explain that? Karen's expression faltered for a split second, a crack in her armor. But she recovered quickly. That's a mistake. I bought the navy one. Your system is probably messed up. Her voice was louder now, drawing more stares from customers. Mia felt a surge of adrenaline. This was their chance to turn the tables. Let me check our inventory system, she said, tapping the computer. The store's database tracked every sale, and Mia knew it could confirm or debunk Karen's story. As she typed, Karen's impatience grew, her foot tapping like a metronome. This is ridiculous. You're stalling because you know you're wrong. The screen loaded, and Mia's eyes widened. The system showed no record of a navy cap sold to Karen's name or card. But it did show a green cap, purchased on the date listed, and returned a week later already refunded. Mia's heart sank as the truth hit her. Karen wasn't just trying to scam a refund. She was double-dipping, using a fake item to exploit the system. Ma'am, Mia said, her voice steady but firm. Our records show you returned the green cap already. And we have no record of you buying a navy one. Karen's face twisted, her eyes blazing. That's a lie. You're making this up to cheat me. Jake stepped closer, his tone unwavering. Our system doesn't lie, ma'am. But we can check the security footage to be sure. Karen froze, her bravado crumbling. The store's cameras, mounted discreetly above the counter, recorded every transaction. If Karen was lying, the footage would expose her. You can't do that. She snapped, but her voice wavered. Mia felt a spark of hope. They had her cornered, but the battle wasn't over. Jake nodded to Mia, who slipped into the back office to pull the footage. As she watched the grainy video, her suspicions were confirmed. Karen had bought the green cap, returned it weeks ago, and now stood here with a different, deliberately damaged cap, trying to game the system. But there was more, a twist that made Mia's stomach lurch. The footage showed Karen lingering near the cap display a week ago, slipping a navy cap into her bag without paying. She wasn't just scamming. She was stealing. Mia's hands trembled as she paused the footage, the image of Karen's sly smirk frozen on the screen. This wasn't just about a refund, Anna Marie, it was theft. Plain and simple. She returned to the counter, where Karen was still ranting, her voice a grating mix of arrogance and desperation. You're wasting my time. I'm a loyal customer, and I deserve respect. Jake stood firm, his arms crossed, while a small crowd of customers lingered, whispering among themselves. Mia caught the eye of Sarah, a part-time clerk who'd been restocking nearby. Sarah's wide eyes said it all. She'd seen this kind of drama before, but never this blatant. Mia leaned toward Jake, whispering, "The footage shows her taking a navy cap without paying. She's lying about everything." Jake's jaw tightened, but he kept his cool. "All right," he said softly. "Let's handle this carefully." He turned to Karen, his voice calm but laced with steel. "Ma'am, we've checked the footage. It shows you taking a navy cap from our display last week without purchasing it. This cap you brought in, it's not even from a legitimate sale. Karen's face went pale, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. For a moment, the store was silent, the weight of the accusation hanging heavy. Then Karen exploded. That's outrageous. You're framing me. I'll sue this whole place. Her voice cracked, betraying her panic. Mia stepped forward, holding up the damaged cap. The footage doesn't lie, ma'am. And this cap, it's been burned and torn. Did you do that to make it look defective? Karen's eyes darted around, searching for an escape, but the customer's stares pinned her in place. The twist hit like a thunderbolt. Sarah, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. I saw her last week, she said, her voice trembling but clear. She was in here, complaining about a green cap, and I saw her grab a navy one when she thought no one was looking. The crowd gasped, and Karen's face contorted with rage. You little liar, she spat, pointing at Sarah. You're all in on this, ganging up on me. But Sarah didn't back down. I know what I saw, and I told Jake about it after you left. Mia's heart swelled with admiration for Sarah's courage. The young clerk, barely 19, had just turned the tide. Karen's lies were unraveling, and the truth was closing in like a vice. Jake raised a hand, silencing the room. Ma'am, we have evidence of theft and attempted fraud. We could call the police right now, but we'd rather resolve this without escalating further. What do you have to say? Karen's bravado crumbled, her shoulders slumping as the reality sank in. She stammered. This is a misunderstanding. Tu didn't mean to take anything. But her words rang hollow, and the customers' murmurs grew louder, a chorus of disapproval. Mia felt a surge of triumph, but also a pang of sadness. Karen wasn't just a bully, she was desperate, willing to lie and steal to get her way. What kind of life led someone to this? The confrontation reached its peak as Jake laid out the options. You can admit what you did, and we'll ban you from the store. Or we can involve the authorities, and they'll handle it from there. Karen's eyes welled with tears, but they weren't tears of remorse, more like frustration at being caught. Fine, she muttered, her voice barely audible. I'll leave. This place is a scam anyway. She grabbed her purse, shoving the damaged cap back toward Mia, but Jake intercepted it. This stays with us, he said. It's evidence. Karen glared, her face a mix of shame and defiance, then stormed toward the door. But before she could leave, Mia spoke up, her voice cutting through the tension. Ma'am, why did you do it? Why go this far? Karen paused, her hand on the door, but didn't turn back. You wouldn't understand, she hissed, then pushed through, the bell jangling as she disappeared into the street. The store fell silent, the weight of the moment lingering. Customers began to disperse, some offering Mia and Jake quiet nods of respect. Sarah wiped her eyes, shaken but proud. Mia felt a mix of relief and unease. They'd won, but at what cost? Karen's desperation hinted at a deeper story, one they'd never know. Jake clapped Mia on the shoulder. You handled that like a pro. Let's write this up for the owner. Mia nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. She thought of the cap, ruined beyond repair, and the receipt, a small piece of paper that had exposed a web of lies. The victory felt bittersweet, a reminder that truth could triumph, but not without a fight. The aftermath of Karen's exit left Harper's outdoor gear buzzing with a strange energy. Mia, Jake and Sarah gathered in the back office, writing up the incident for the store owner, Mr. Harper. The cap, the receipt, and the security footage sat on the desk, a damning trio of evidence. She's lucky we didn't call the cops, Jake said, shaking his head. Theft and fraud. That's serious. Mia nodded, but her thoughts were on Karen's final words. You wouldn't understand. What drove someone to such lengths? Greed. Desperation. Or something deeper. A need to control a world that felt out of reach. The incident report was thorough, detailing Karen's attempt to return a stolen, damaged cap and her history of returning the green cap for a refund. Mr. Harper, a gruff but fair man, read it with a scowl. People like this think they can bully their way through life, he said. Good work standing your ground. He banned Karen from the store, and the matter was closed. Said no police, no charges, just a permanent ban. Mia felt a weight lift, but the unease lingered. Karen's downfall was deserved, but it wasn't the clean victory she'd hoped for. It was a lesson in justice, hard-won and imperfect. Days later, Mia overheard customers talking about the incident, the story spreading like wildfire. Did you hear about the lady who tried to scam Harper's? One said. They caught her red-handed. The tale became a local legend, a cautionary story about entitlement and accountability. Mia, Jake, and Sarah became quiet heroes, their resolve a testament to integrity. But Mia couldn't shake the image of Karen's defeated slump as she left. The woman's arrogance had masked something broken, something human. Mia wondered if Karen would learn, or if she'd move on to the next scam, unrepentant. The experience changed Mia. She'd always been good at her job, but now she saw it as more than a paycheck. It was about standing up for what was right, even when it was hard. She started training new staff on spotting fraudulent returns, sharing the lessons of Karen's cap. Jake promoted her to shift lead, recognizing her quick thinking. Sarah, inspired by the ordeal, enrolled in a business course, determined to learn more about ethics and accountability. The store itself seemed to glow a little brighter, its reputation bolstered by the staff's courage. One quiet afternoon, Mia stood at the counter, staring at the spot where Karen had stood. She thought about the power of truth, how it could dismantle even the most brazen lies. The cap, now stored in the back as evidence, was a reminder justice wasn't just about punishment. It was about protecting what mattered. For Mia, it was the store, her co-workers, and the customers who trusted them. For Karen, it was a lesson she might never learn. But for Mia and her team, it was a victory that echoed beyond the walls of Harper's outdoor gear. A story of standing tall in the face of deception and winning.